The Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Fair is a festival that takes place here in lovely Ansonia at Warsaw Park the last 2 weekends of June, first weekend in July. And it's 150 costume characters, 50 artisan vendors, a full food court, a pub, 20 professional acts from musicians, magicians, jugglers, live performances. It's an interactive world. You step inside it, and there are people that are creating this entire fantasy world where it's not only Renaissance from 400 and 500 years ago, but there's also fairies, elves, dwarves, a little bit of that Middle Earth mixed in there with a little bit of our jolly old England, and I prefer Ireland because that's the way it should be. No offense to the English out there, you know who you are. But that's what this world is, and we decided that there's a lot of Renaissance fairs out there, but we wanted to tap into that fantasy element. And I'm a huge geek. I started off by playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I still do to this day. And if you can't tell by the everything about me, so I wanted to capture that essence live. And it's such a it's our code for us, our tagline for the fair is inspire imagination, and that's what this does for me, just building the fair. And I want everyone who walks in through those front gates to be inspired. Even if they don't get inspired to join the Renaissance Fair, which you can, we hold auditions in January every year. We also want you to just be inspired to whatever that is for you. Whether it's you're just inspired to go out and see a new kind of movie you didn't see before, or you're inspired to try something you never tried before. Because we've got things like axe throwing and archery and kids games and all these interactive things that you can do. We want people to be inspired to do something they've never done before. And whether they're doing it here or they're doing it somewhere else in their lives, we love to see that happen.
Hey everybody, it's the Amazing Magical Ball here in beautiful Ansonia, Connecticut. I have my good friend Daniel Greenwolf here.
That's me. I'm Daniel Greenwolf. I'm that good friend he talks about oh so much. At least that's what he's talking about right now. He probably didn't talk about me much before. Does he ever talk? Does he call? Does he write? Does he email about me? It doesn't matter. The point is that I'm glad to be here, and I'm just so happy to be invited. What are we doing?
I don't know.
Okay, good. All right, so.
This is what happens when you have two magicians and a throne in back of you.
Yeah. We literally couldn't decide which one of us was going to sit on a throne, so we said we'll get two smaller thrones so we feel slightly less emasculated towards the other.
So we didn't argue.
Yeah, because it was a fight. It was a battle. It would have been
bad.
bad.
We're going to get ice cream later.
Oh, I like ice cream.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Wait a second. Was that a fat joke? Anyway, yes. So okay. As long as we're clear. But yes, I am Daniel Greenwolf, and I'm also the general manager of the Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Fair in Ansonia, which is where we are right now. Look at these beautiful vistas. We're indoors because outdoors is blazing hot right now, and my team is currently setting up the fair because we're in build week for the fair, and it's insane. So
Daniel.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been a magician?
Ah, yes. That's the other secret part of me. I've been doing magic. I started magic when I was 10, and I started performing professionally when I was about 14. So I've been doing magic overall about 22, 23 years now.
What is your favorite aspect of being a magician?
Man, that's a good, that's tough. I would say, because, for the whole 10 years, I was trying to find myself. I was wasting my life. I loved doing acting, and I loved doing singing and other stuff like that. And, as far as performance goes, I love the idea of interacting with an audience, love the idea of connecting with people. But I felt like magic did something that these other art forms just didn't do. Magic did something, it connected people on a visceral level because you're challenging these thoughts that you have. You're challenging these ideas of what is real and what is possible. And although we're liars, right? We lie for a living, that's what we do. But we're storytellers at the heart. Yeah. And, you can do a hell of a story without doing a single magic trick. But when you add those elements into it, it's like seeing Peter Pan fly. When you can see that and you can experience that, it creates something that you're not going to get from just someone standing up and doing a monologue, And I've seen some amazing monologues by some great performers like Darren Brown and Penn Jillette, where they sit and they'll talk and they'll do one thing. But man, that one thing's that perfect punch on it. So I think I really love with magic is just that ability to create this special effect, this other world in this world that's ours. It's a cognitive dissonance, I guess is the best way to put it.
Now, you've created Daniel Greenwolf, Celtic magician.
Yes.
You're a bard. Can you tell everybody what a bard is and how that relates to the magic you perform for people?
Yeah. Well, in fact, this is odd. The fact that you're catching me on a build day. Normally, if I'm all done up, I'm wearing a kilt and I've got face paint on and all this other jazz. But when, I know it's funny. I think about when I was 12. Other young magicians were doing card tricks and imagining maybe doing a dove act or big illusions. And I had found a group called the Inner Circle Bizarre Magic. They're based out of Waterbury, Connecticut, which is where I grew up, and Joe Cabral was the head of it, and still is, in fact. And what they were about was about creating magic that was deeper than just doing tricks. I love doing card tricks. I love doing stage illusions. I love doing all this stuff, and I do all of it. But there was something into this idea of storytelling with a deeper purpose, something deeper. And they love the darker stuff. They love doing seance stuff and spirit magic and, talking about conversing with demons, like all this cool stuff. So when I was 12, I was creating these long, intricate stories around one little piece of magic, whereas all these other people were like, these kids were doing like 20 card tricks and stuff. And it was weird for me to find that balance from the other side. Because most times you find, most kids, they do 20 magic tricks, they don't have a single story. I was doing one story that was just going on way too frickin' long for one magic trick. So finding that balance was interesting. But for me, I wanted to connect to something that meant something. And I'm Irish. I didn't mean to shock anyone out there. I didn't know if everyone was worried or anything, but I am Irish. Don't adjust your screens. And being Irish, there's such a beautiful history and a beautiful culture, particularly to that of the bard. And there's a lot of people think of bard, they think of Shakespeare, the bard. But bards were storytellers, they were jugglers, they were magicians, musicians, poets. They traveled around, they're nomadic a lot of times. They went from town to town, and they would share the stories that they knew. And I loved that idea. I thought that was so cool. So I wanted to take that, and I went and I started really studying all of it. And then I kind of evolved from there to just like the Renaissance thing. I started with Renaissance fairs when I was 14. And I went from there saying, well, I don't want to just be performing in a Renaissance fair setting. And I realized, wow, the Celts and the Irish have this rich and gorgeous history that goes hundreds of years and very modern now. Even the modern history is very interesting. So I started combining that and the Celtic music and the stylings and the art all combined into the magic. And nobody else was doing it. The closest I always thought would have been was a gentleman by the name of Jeff McBride, who was my influence for starting magic. And just dropped me a line the other day, in fact, out of nowhere, which was cool. And he was the closest I thought. Like McBride was his last name, right? But no, he went Japanese, kabuki style. Like that's his stuff. I'm like, that's great. So that leaves me the Irish stuff. Woohoo! So that's where I started with it, and it's always connected with me. I always find new things, because if you're bored with it, what's the point?
I know. One of the aspects I love about your act and your persona is your ability to eat fire.
Ah, yes.
And spit fire. It's always fascinated me. I can't do that because I have severe asthma. I'll die.
Yeah, don't die. I like you alive.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good
guy.
But you're going to be giving a demonstration.
So no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
We're going to be giving a demonstration on fire eating. What do you want people to know about eating fire? And if someone is starting out with sort of it's not a magic trick. What you're doing is dangerous. What you're doing it's relevant. Fire breathing has been around probably for about maybe 7,000 years.
Yeah.
It's ancient. And what do you want people to know about it, and how it relates to Daniel Greenwolf?
All right. Well, one, don't do it. You're cramping my style. No, I would say what I want people to know about fire eating and fire breathing is that it is not a magic trick. It is a skill that you learn. I had the pleasure of learning it from Dave Moosh and Victor Sanksouzi, two of my teachers, and Gil Earle, In fact, all three of them were part of the Crime and Punishment show, which is an amazing magic sideshow Renaissance act. They taught me the first bits of fire eating. And then when I went on from there, I got to learn from Todd Robbins, who was the sideshow king of Coney Island. And he taught me the fire breathing aspects and more of the involved eating and transferring and all that stuff. What I would tell people is that what I'm doing is hard, and I don't care if you think it's real. Just know it's not easy, because it isn't easy. However, if you get by the fact that you're going to get burned a lot, if you get by the fact that it's going to suck a lot, and that you're going to put stuff into your body that is specifically written on the label, do not consume, then you're well on your way to doing something very, very stupid that I would not recommend to anyone else in a million years. But it looks so cool, so it's really hard to balance those two out. If you've got any kids watching this, why are you watching? Don't you have like satellite or Hulu or something? But if you are watching, don't try any of what I'm going to do at home or at school, despite what I may indeed tell you myself. Don't try it anywhere because it's stupid, and it should only be done by people like me who obviously have no other skills.
Don't do this at home, because you will get hurt.
Yeah.
And you will have to explain it to someone you love, which is even worse.
That's the bigger part, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll laugh at you.
Yeah.
Like they won't even look like with sad. They'll be like, oh, I remember little Billy. He was such a nice kid. Like they're gonna be like, remember that dumb schmuck who lit himself on fire? God.
It ended up on YouTube.
YouTube. Nobody is throwing that kid a memorial service. Nobody. No one cares. You're going to get if you're lucky, your remains will get a tiny plastic case that they're going to put in.
Yes.
So I would advise against it.
And you've burnt yourself in effigy.
Yeah. And what's great about that is it will save your parents a little bit on the cremation costs.
Yes.
But not a lot. So, because there's a whole thing. It's red tape. Anyways.
Hey everybody, this is the Amazing Magical Paul. Do not, under any circumstance, try this at home. If you do, Daniel Greenwolf and the Amazing Magical Paul and Nick the Camera Guy take no responsibility if you get hurt. Okay, Daniel Greenwolf eating fire.
Although, for the record, if you do get hurt, can you send me video? Because I'm going to laugh at you. Like, I'm going to laugh at you a lot, let's be honest. All right, so what I'm going to do is a couple of different things right now for you. We're not just going to eat fire, because if I just ate fire, I eat fire, you walk away, you're like, ah! That's not that impressive. So instead, we got to do something just a little bit more interesting for you guys. We're going to do a little bit of transferring, do a little bit of fire handling. There we go. This one is science. That wasn't that impressive. But nevertheless, the idea behind fire eating is simple. You take a fire, you put it to your face, and you try not to die. But if I did, how good would that look for the camera, right? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, just light right up. Whoosh! Oh my goodness, that'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. So, when eating fire, it's important that you know that you've got the biggest flame possible. And I don't want to leave you guys with like a little bit of fire eating. So we're going to do some big fire eating. We're going to use a big torch, just like that one. Just a little bit bigger. You might be able to see it pretty well. Again, we're going to try to get this as close as humanly possible so you guys can see this firsthand. Now it's really windy and terrible, which means it's going to hurt. This is very bad. I don't even know if I feel comfortable doing this, but we're going to try it anyway. Come on. Come on. Don't you be a mean man. Whew, there we go. So we're going to try that so you guys can see it one more time, because you know what? It's not fair for you guys to like just guess. Did he actually eat the fire? Here we go. Hup. And one more, just for you. And that is how you waste your life for years and years and make sure that no one ever wants to get close to you, have no meaningful connections whatsoever, and impress your friends.
Hey everybody, this is the Amazing Magical Paul coming to you live from the Renaissance Fair, and apparently I have made a grave mistake. They do not like card tricks here. I'm going to have to talk to someone because this is just terrible. All right, you guys have a good day, and I'm probably going to die here. All right, bye.